When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future updates that I post on my community tab frequently. Let's continue where we last left off in our story. Here, catch, Gecko, as Izuku pulled the pin of the grenade and casually tossed it to Killer Croc. The moment the grenade went off, the car exploded as Killer Croc went flying into a brick wall, cracking the wall behind him. Izuku rushed towards Killer Croc when he noticed he was trying to get up, as he blasted several explosions in his chest. When Izuku noticed Killer Croc is in the midst of losing consciousness, as he finally spoke up. When you get up, Gecko, tell Two-Face, the person responsible for this mass destruction and destroying his operations is me. Name's Deku. This is only the beginning. When I get done with this place, he won't have much of a territory left. Izuku slammed an explosion in Killer Croc's face. Izuku put his hands in his pockets and turned around to walk away. Several hours later, Two-Face is sitting behind his desk in his headquarters as one of his goons burst through the door, breathing heavy. Boss, 2 of your operations were attacked earlier today. I see. Which one was attacked? The operation that we launder money was burnt down to the ground, and the warehouse that you store your extra weaponry was blown up. Killer Croc was found unconscious and poisoned from some unknown chemical. He hasn't regained consciousness yet. His body is still trying to fight the poisoning that he's affected with. I see. Harvey, aka Two-Face, pulled out his coin and flipped it as he caught it, saying what side of the coin it landed on, and pulled out a gun out of his suit and shot his goon in the head, killing him instantly. Get this trash out of my office and inform me when Killer Croc wakes up. Whoever is doing this, he or she, they're going to die. No one messes with Two-Face and lives. No one attacks my territory and gets to walk away unscathed. Now get out of my sight. All of you. Harvey Dent picked up his phone in his office and dialed a number. Hey, Clayface. This is Two-Face. I got a job for you if you're interested. As you see a helicopter hovering over the blown up warehouse, as you see a reporter in a helicopter reporting the news, with a live crew in the helicopter with him. The reporter was stopped in mid-sentence by several buildings blowing up, one after another, all around in this part of the city. as you see Izuku on top of a building with his glowing red eyes visible, staring down at his handiwork as another operation of Two-Face was taken out as Izuku is smirking behind his mask. Izuku watched a very strange black vehicle drive through the street extremely fast as the Batmobile drove out of the distance from Izuku's view. So that's the Batmobile. He's finally caught on what's going on in the city. He's pretty slow on the intake. I'm guessing that's Two-Face's handiwork. I suppose my break is over. Time to get back to work. Time to continue mass destruction as Izuku leaned off the building from behind and fell off the roof of the building and went into a spin. The spin shortly went. Oh, sorry, give me a second, guys. Only to spin in a flip and land on the street level as Izuku shoot off using his explosions as accelerators to travel to his next location. Izuku stopped his momentum and went into a skid across the street in front of a harbor as Izuku begins to walk towards the cargo ship that Two-Faces used to transport large amounts of cocaine. Izuku blasts towards the two nearest guards that's guarding the cargo ship and blasted them away with his explosion quirk. The rest of the guards opened fire onto Izuku. Izuku used his explosion quirk to maneuver around the bullets and start to attack the goons with his explosions when he sees a opening. Izuku extended both his hands outwards toward the cargo ship, then unleashed a full force explosion towards the ship as there was a huge green explosion engulfed the metal cargo ship. When the smoke finally cleared, only thing was left was half-burned crates of drugs sinking into the seawater. Izuku turned around to see a Batmobile driving to his location. Izuku blasted forwards. Izuku blasted towards the Batmobile and slammed the explosion right in the front of the vehicle, making the Batmobile go into a flip over Izuku as the Batmobile skid across the street, upside down. When Batman finally exited his vehicle, Izuku was nowhere to be seen. While Izuku is blasting through the city, Lady Nagant contact her son on his communicator in his right ear. I want to update on her status. I took out almost all of the operations that we're able to find. I'm heading to the last I'm heading to the last one. The Cape Crusader is on the scene. Finish this quick, then withdraw back to the apartment. Copy that. Just be careful. By now, Two-Face is probably already expecting you. You're probably going to walk into a trap. Most likely. It doesn't matter. He'll fail regardless. I hope I meet that gecko there. I hope I meet that gecko again. If I'm lucky, he'll be there. Well, if he is, he won't be at full strength because of your chemical explosion poisoning. The poisoning this gecko, as you call it. If things get out of hand, I want you to retreat. Things get out of my control, I'll get out of there. I'm crazy, but I'm not stupid. I'll contact you when I'm done. As Izuku cut the connection to his communicator in his right ear. Izuku didn't bother entering the front door. Izuku blasted through the window, using his quirk to fly through the window of the factory, went into a skid and duck by instinct as Killer Croc's arm come flying towards him. After dodging a strike from Killer Croc, Izuku immediately jumped backwards from another person and look at the other person in the room. Clayface smashed a hardened clay hammer into the ground, making spiderweb cracks in the cement where Izuku once stood before he jumped backwards. It's a good thing I dodged that. That would have hurt. Yo, Gecko, I see you brought a friend. Introductions are in order. We might be foes, but that doesn't mean we can't be civil with each other. Killer Croc growled at the disrespectful little punk. Name's Clayface, kid, and I'm being paid a lot of money to take you out. Nothing personal, just business. Same to you, Clayface. If you're aligned with Two-Face, then that means you're part of the job. Let's get started, shall we? Izuku extended both his hands outwards towards Killer Croc and Clayface as Killer Croc's eyes widen. Clayface, run! But it was already too late for Killer Croc and Clayface to attempt to dodge as a humongous green explosion shot off out of both of Izuku's hands as they were forced out of the warehouse to the city street by the pure force of the green explosion. Izuku walked out of the half-destroyed factory to see his opponents on the ground. Killer Croc has large debris from the building on top of him, while Clayface is trying to restructure his clay body. Clayface finally managed to restructure his form and create a spike mace from one of his hands. Knocked the debris off of Killer Croc. Croc, explain. That little disrespectful little shit has explosions at his fingertips. He's literally a walk-in bomb factory. According to my first encounter with the brat, his explosions have some sort of poison effect. I'm not sure even your clay body wouldn't be affected. Izuku allowed them to have their little team meeting while he pet a stray black cat as he picked it up in his arms. Izuku stopped petting the stray cat and put it down onto the street gently, then shooed it away as he turned his attention to Killer Croc and Clayface when he noticed they weren't discussing anything anymore. As the gecko has already told you, I have the powers of explosions. The type of explosions, I'm gonna keep that a my little secret. Now that we have a bigger playground to play in, finally enjoy this battle. For your type of opponents like you, I need a bigger space to play in. Considering we're in soon to be dead Two-Face's territory, I won't have to worry about collateral damage. Izuku's crimson eyes start to glow red as Izuku moves so fast that he made after images of himself as he slammed a explosion uppercut under the chin of Killer Croc and jumped in the air and went into a spin, unleashing a explosion from his right hand into Clayface's face as he landed a little bit behind Clayface as he watched Clayface restructure his body from half of it being blown up. When Clayface finally restructured his body, Killer Croc fell from the sky from the explosion uppercut and landed on top of a car, crushing the roof of it. Izuku barely had enough time to cross his arms together to block an incoming blow from a humongous clay hammer. Izuku was shot backwards a little bit from the force and skid across the street. Impressive strength for being made of clay. I'm going to have to be careful on this one. Unlike the gecko over there, this one's actually going to be more of a challenge. With the ability to reform himself, Bruce, this is going to be a tad bit, little more difficult. But I'll find a weakness. Everyone has a weakness. I just have to spot it. And judging by how this clay face has been acting and moving around, physical contact is not an option. I would rather not to be smothered to death by simple clay. Izuku noticed it started to rain down into sprinkles. Izuku knows the longer this fight draws out, the more chance of hell raining down from the sky because how cold it is. Izuku noticed several snowflakes falling down with the rain. Izuku did notice how uncomfortable Clayface fell when the rain came down onto his clay body. Izuku immediately got a good idea as he looked around for any sort of source of water. There's a couple of fire hydrants he could use. He did notice a water tower not too far away. He could always lure Clayface to that area and release all the water in the water tower. Izuku rushed towards Killer Croc when he noticed him getting up to his feet and blast two explosions from his palm of his hand into Killer Croc's chest, make him shoot through several buildings from the force of the explosion, immediately turn around to blast Clayface with the same amount of force with his explosions that he unleashed on Killer Croc. Izuku used his trance to blast towards the nearest fire hydrant. Luckily, it was already pointed right in the crosshairs of Clayface. Izuku created a very weak explosion in his hand to pop the cork of the fire hydrant as the water sprays towards Clayface, causing Clayface great harm as he begins to scream out in pain. Clayface didn't even bother reforming his body and flew through the air towards Izuku. Izuku shot out a explosion when Clayface got close enough. Then he immediately blasted off towards another fire hydrant and popped the cork to that fire hydrant as well, using another small explosion. As this would repeat until they got to the water tower and a construction site. Izuku had to dodge Clayface's arm axe, popping out of the blob of clay. As a clay hammer pop out of the blob and hit Izuku in the chest, making him hit one of the support beams of the uncompleted building that hasn't even finished the first floor yet. Clayface reformed his body at this point. Clayface was finally able to restructure his body. The water was making his form unstable as he finally adapted to the situation. Izuku got up from the bent support beam of steel. His bones wasn't so hard, or if it wasn't for his bone structure for being tough, that would have broken his back. Izuku's bones are way stronger than the average human. Izuku's bone structure is far more dense with people that have a similar quirk to his. End result of his superior bone structure, Izuku can unleash more powerful explosions without the aid of any kind of support gear. Even if someone survived a blast from his chemical explosions, the explosion itself would have already poisoned any opponent that had any contact with this chemical explosion. It wouldn't be noticeable at first. The more you're exposed to the explosion, the more your bodies will feel the effect of being poisoned. The amount of poison that Killer Croc was exposed to would have killed a normal human adult, but because of Killer Croc's being pretty much a human crocodile, his body produces better defenses against chemical poisoning through his body. He'll live, but he'll be very weak during recovery. Izuku can tell Clayface isn't affected by his chemical poisoning. Izuku saw Clayface reform his body. Izuku noticed several large steel beams all stacked up on the ground. Izuku ran towards the stack of steel beams and began to shoot them off with his explosion as an accelerator. One after another, the steel beams shoot towards Clayface as Clayface reformed his arm into a shield to block the steel beams that are shooting towards him like a rocket. When Izuku shot the last steel beam, he shot out forward using his explosions and swing around. Try this again. When Izuku shot the last steel beam, he shot forward using his explosions and swung both of his hands towards Clayface and unleashed a fairly powerful explosion in his direction. Izuku used his chance to blast upwards and made his way towards the water tower. While airborne, he spun around and slammed a explosion, ripping the metal container that's holding the water in. As the water begins to rain down on the construction site, Izuku blasted upwards in the sky, then blasted back downwards, while creating another explosion, his biggest explosion yet he can create, as he shot it directly down into the construction site, as the entire site was engulfed in a green chemical explosion, leaving debris everywhere scattered all around the ground when the smoke cleared. As the construction site is completely destroyed, there are small pieces of Clayface scattered all around, moving away to escape. Even in this condition, the rain could easily kill Clayface at this current state. Izuku used what strength he has left to use the explosions in rapid succession to descend down back to the ground, making his explosions like thrusters, landing harmlessly on the ground. Izuku began to breathe heavy behind his mask as he's trying to catch his breath. Izuku was pretty much almost out of stamina, so using his quirk right now wouldn't be a good idea. So he made his way back home, or towards the apartment, on foot by simply walking. He doesn't want to act suspicious, more than suspicious that he's already been acting. He still has to worry about the Cape Crusader catching him, so he used the most oldest method to travel, the simply walking. He used a lot of back alleys, tried to retrack his steps back to the subway, as he finally got back to the apartment, back to Poison Ivy's territory. The trip took longer than expected, but he finally made it back to his apartment as he flopped down on the couch, pulling off his mask and taking off his hoodie. You look exhausted, son. If you're exhausted, that means you went a bit overboard, didn't you? A bit, Mom. I wouldn't be surprised if it would be on the news by now. After all, I made Two-Face's territory look like a war zone. Right though, Mom. It was a trap. I faced the gecko again, and someone called Clayface. The weirdest thing, he was like made out of clay. Able to create variations of bladed weaponry. It was an interesting battle, to say the least. My explosions were completely useless. I might as well be swatting Clayface with a fly swatter. All the good it did me. Luckily, I found his weakness. I just had to douse him with a little bit of water from one of the water towers in one of the construction sites back in Two-Face's territory, and unleash a devastating explosion. He'll probably live by the display how he could restructure his body, but I don't think I'll be seeing him anytime soon. Nagant went to check out if her son was injured at all. She was relieved to find him not injured. There's a couple bruises on him, but mostly he's just exhausted, as she sighed in relief at that. I just finished dinner a couple seconds ago. Why don't you go into the kitchen and sit down and get something to eat? You should head off to bed to get some rest. I need you to be fully recovered before we implement our last stage of our mission. After all, I still need you to draw out Two-Face. I suspect you're not his favorite person right now. As mother and son duo start to laugh at Two-Face's misfortune, after Izuku ate his dinner, he heed his mother's advice and head off to bed. 2 weeks later, Izuku has fully recovered from his fight in the construction site 2 weeks ago. In truth, Izuku was fully recovered a week ago, but he used his remaining week to strategize and implement his own plan. Just in case if Batman shows up. Son, we begin tonight. Two-Face is holed up in some sort of old museum. He relocated there after you decimated all of his operations. I need you to be loud as possible. Finally, the grand finale is here. You know me, Mom. I always give the best efforts. After all, I need to blow up the museum. After all I just need to do is blow up the museum, forcing Two-Face to run for his life. Then the rest is in your capable hands, Mother. Before you make the museum into a crater, I want you to draw it out as long as possible. I need time to get in position. Sure thing, Mom. I'll drag it out. I'll play with Two-Face for a little bit. I'm sure we have loads to talk about. I'll be heading off to the museum now, Mom. Contact me once you're in position. I'll try to draw them out outside of the museum when the moment strikes. Several hours later, Izuku is staring down on the museum on top of a bell tower. As the bell tower rang when it finally hit 12 o'clock at night. After the bell stopped ringing, he contacted his mother. I'm starting to operation now, Mother. I scout out the area. The bell tower is your best bet for a good vantage point. Thanks, son. Start heading that way now. Izuku jumped off the bell tower and blasted outwards towards the museum, using his explosions like boosters, not even touching the ground as he blasts off above the street. As he skid across the street in front of the old museum. It didn't take long for Two-Face's goons to notice him. As two goons are guarding the entryway of the museum, they immediately open fire upon Izuku. Izuku dodged and weave around the gunshots being fired upon him and blasted the two goons into the museum wall, knocking them out by the force of the explosion. Instead of opening the door or kicking the door down, Izuku decided to blow the door up into the little pieces. All the goons in the front lobby area of the museum turn around to see the entryway get blown up by a green explosion. When the smoke finally cleared, it revealed a teenager with blonde hair and red eyes, wearing a well-tailored suit with a black vest, wearing some sort of face guard covering the bottom of his face. Izuku narrowed his eyes at the pizza on one of the tables in the lobby. He calmly walked towards them with his eyes glowing red as he picked up one of the pieces of pizza and tilted his mask upwards as he bit down onto the delicious dish. Izuku noticed well-armed men in the lobby area seem really intense. He knows that some of them are not even holding their weapons steady. Their hands couldn't stop from shaking. Relax, you're acting like I'm the devil in human form. I don't think I made that much of a good impression. What are you doing here, Deku? You know my little codename, do you? Of course we know exactly who you are. You've been driving our boss crazy by blowing up majority of his territory and taking down Killer Croc and Clayface. And the total destruction of the construction site that was being built as one of Two-Face's casinos. I do appreciate my efforts being noticed and all, but I'm gonna have to beat you all severely until you lose consciousness. Kill you? I haven't made up my mind yet. Death by explosion. Death by bullet in the head. So many choices. The moment those words left his lips, they all immediately opened fire onto Izuku. When they went to reload their rifles, Izuku created a green explosion right in the middle of the room, forcing all of the goons into the walls of the museum as they all shoot off in different directions. Izuku took off his mask and took another bite of a pizza. Fortunately, my explosions didn't damage the pizza. It would be a shame to waste such good food. I probably should have kept one alive to ask them where they got this pizza at. Oh well. I'll figure it out sooner or later. Izuku decides to go towards the dinosaur exhibit in the museum. Izuku saw his target on the second story, staring down onto him with pure rage in his eyes. Right next to him is Overhaul, analyzing Izuku the moment he saw him. So you must be Two-Face. Gotta say, that's a face only a mother would love. Harvey Dent completely ignored the smartass remarked at the end of his sentence. So you're the little upstart that's been interrupting with my territory. Interfering with my business. Little old me? Izuku shrugged his shoulder. I suppose I am. Given how your buildings are so explodable, that you're extremely pissed, losing so much of your money. What a shame, really. I decide your fate, Deku. What I want to know is why. Quite simple, my disfigured friend. You crossed the wrong person, so they want you off the board in a more permanent state. I personally don't have any hostility towards you. You're still gonna die regardless, but it's not personal. I hope you do understand. No shrug off my shoulders. Honestly, I hope you resist. It's a lot more entertaining when people resist. When they face me, it always brings a smile to my face. How you want to handle this, Two-Face? Shall I come up there? Or will you man up and come face me down here? And why would I do something like that when I can pay someone to do it for me? Grundy. You're up, big guy. Better keep the end of your bargain. Grundy will crush you if you backstab Grundy. Get your money as long as you killed that brat. Grundy jumped down from the second story and made a small crater when he finally landed on the first floor. Izuku took a closer look at the large gray-skinned man wearing a generic suit with a noose tied around his neck like a necklace. And who are you? Me, Grundy. Grundy, is it? Let's see what kind of power do you have. Izuku shot forward with incredible speed, making after image of himself as he slammed a full palm explosion in the chest, making Grundy go flying into one of the skeletons of the dinosaurs, and one of the plant-eating dinosaurs. Quite impressive quirk he has. Are you certain it's a quirk? He might be one of those metahumans I've heard about. According to Killer Croc, he has a quirk, but regardless, he's not going to win against Grundy. He has no chance. You mean? Grundy is impressive. Grundy is pretty big, I'll give him that. But not a whole lot of people can survive explosions being shot at them. It's simple. Grundy can't be killed. He's literally immortal. There's a way to take him down, but there's no way to take him down permanently. Trust me, I've tried. Izuku watched his opponent get right back up from his explosion, unharmed, like he just got sprayed with water. Fascinating. That simple explosion would have killed the gecko if I unleashed it on him, and you took it like it was nothing. Consider me very intrigued. I wonder what you are, Grundy. Too bad I don't have enough time to dissect you. This just proves Gotham is my kind of city. There are so many different unique individuals to meet and to battle to the death with. You had to jump backwards from an incoming Hail Mary as Grundy smashed both of his hands, or fists, where Izuku was standing before he jumped backwards, cracking the tile, making small crater in the ground, on the ground. Izuku used his explosions to flank around Grundy and land a heavily condensed explosion, making Grundy go flying against one of the walls, only to see his opponent get right back up and shrug off the debris off his shoulders from the wall. Grundy charged Izuku instantly, jump over the humongous fist from Grundy as he went airborne and land on Grundy's arm with his hands as Izuku kicked Grundy in the face while in handstand and pushed backwards in midair and unleashed another explosion from his hands as Grundy right into Grundy's face, making him go skidding backwards. Izuku landed on his feet when the smoke finally cleared, revealing Grundy not even slightly affected by that explosion or the kick to the face. Izuku charged his opponent to duck under his fist as Izuku landed a right hook, only making Grundy tilt his head to the left. Grundy was about to attack back until everyone turned to hear something loud crashing through the large window as a full diesel truck carrying attached to a trailer drove right through the window, smashing into a skeleton of the exhibit, the Pterosaur, or Triceratops, destroying it. Izuku watched a man get out of the diesel truck, coughing and getting the dust off his purple suit, with his pitch white skin, with green hair and green eyes. Izuku used this brief distraction to back off to get some distance as he sees two other people exit the truck. One is a young blonde around his age, and the other appearance, well, the other person is a older blonde. The older blonde revealed to be Harley Quinn and her daughter, Toga Quinn. The daughter of Harley Quinn and the Joker. In this, Harley Quinn and the Joker only have one daughter, and that is Toga. Shame on you, Harvey, to throw a welcoming party and not even send me a single invitation. No phone call, no email. I thought we were close. As the Joker has a fake hurt, as he has his hands against his chest over his heart. I was really looking forward to welcome the new kid on the block, personally. I like his spunk. Watching your territory fall apart in such a pretty green explosion, I just had to meet the kid. What do you think, Harley dear? Quite a show, Mr. J. What do you think, honey? I got to agree with you, mother and father. It was quite a display of carnage. Toga turned her attention back to her father, seeing the two of them converse with each other. Her father was talking to Two-Face while Two-Face is yelling at her father. As she turned her attention to see the blonde hair, red-eye boy start to emanate miniature explosions all around his body. Hey Dad, looks like the green explosion boy is going to do something interesting. Sure looks like it, Princess. Well, Harley, you might want to back off a little bit. I have a feeling this might get interesting. Hey, you might want to duck, Harvey. As the Joker stepped backwards with his family to get some distance, and he was very wise to do so. Sorry about this, but I'm a little past schedule. Let's see if you could survive this. As Izuku's eyes begin to glow red, as he charged up for a massive explosion, as he took out the majority of the museum, as he unleashed a huge green explosion. When the smoke cleared, everyone on that side of the museum was covered in rubble. Izuku walked over where Two-Face and grabbed him by the hair, or what hair he has, and dragged him out of the museum. When Izuku got close enough to the exit, Izuku shot Two-Face with a miniature explosion, making him fly out of the museum, skidding across the street as the Batmobile screeched to a stop as Batman flies out of the building. At this current time in the timeline, the Justice League hasn't been established. Nightwing is still in his city, and Dick Grayson is still too young to be in this sort of fight, so he left Robin back at the Batcave to help Alfred with anything he needs to look up on the Bat computer. Time Overhaul regained consciousness and dug himself out of the rubble and began his escape from the area. He knows when he sees a losing battle, he's going to have to cut his ties. Who came across Two-Face in the new player in Gotham City by pure chance. Bruce was only following the Joker and his crazy family through their crime spree across Gotham City. Bruce has always kept a close eye on the daughter of the Joker. She's more depraved and psychotic than her father, by several of her victims being drained of all their blood like some sort of vampire. But after some research on the girl, he found out that her quirk, she's able to shapeshift into anyone that she drinks the blood of. It varies from how much time she can keep the form. The more blood she consumes the person, the longer she's able to keep their shape. Suspects that she might be able to copy powers one day to other people with quirks. Bruce knows quirks are always evolving. Ever since he found about quirks, he dove right into quirk research. Oh, whoa, it isn't Batsy himself. Deal with you in a moment, clown. Stay put. You do care. I promise. Scout honor. The Joker gave Batman a hand salute. Bruce sees the one responsible for making part of Gotham City into a war zone. Making a move, dusting off his clothes, like this whole event doesn't even matter to him. I don't know what sort of beef you have with Two-Face, but it ends here. You already caused enough trouble for the general population. Creating parts of Gotham City into a war zone. I can no longer ignore your presence here. I'm taking you down. Are you speaking to me? Has everyone ever told you you have a major stick up your ass? Izuku heard cackles from the Joker and the two blondes right next to him. Given your attire, what sort of grown man would dress up like a bat is beyond me. Heroes, in your costumes. Where you heroes have some sort of cosplay fetish. Getting the Gaunt, contact her son. I'm in position. Keep him talking. Zuku continued to do so. But I can admire the tech you wield, especially your little vehicle over there. As Izuku points to the Batmobile. That's something a normal citizen wouldn't be able to get their hands on. That either means you have good connections, or you're just rich. Maybe both. Regardless how you get your funds, Cape Crusader, you won't be taking me down. But do try. But try to give it the old college try. Lady Nagant is on top of the top level of the bell tower and aimed her rifle down as she got Harvey Dent in her sights, getting up from the ground as she gently pulled the trigger as the bullet shot out of the rifle, zooming through the air. Izuku noticed the shine of the reflection of the rifle. Izuku immediately extended both of his palms towards Batman and unleashed a huge explosion towards him. Towards Batman's direction, forcing him to move, not even noticing the bullet flying through the sky. As the bullet finally hit his mark, hitting Two-Face in the middle of the forehead, killing him instantly as he dropped to the ground as Two-Face coin has the two heads on both sides. One side completely unharmed, the other one's damaged. Roll out of this pocket, begin to roll down the street, landing on the damaged head, on this damaged head side of the coin. Thought to charge, but he stopped. He stopped his momentum when he noticed the kid with the mask has some sort of small device in his hand after he took it out of his suit. Bruce immediately recognized it as a detonator. He advanced one. Now, don't be too hasty, hero. See what I have in my hands? It's a detonator. Too many explosions scattered all around Gotham City. I had a feeling you couldn't keep your nose out of things, so I prepared ahead of time. Preparation is very important to win a battle. Right preparation, you could end the battle before it even begun. Getting cute ideas. If somehow you manage to destroy this detonator, the explosions will go off anyways. Well, I could detonate the explosions with this little detonator of mine. They'll even go off even if I don't press the detonator in a certain amount of time. The bombs will activate their secondary function and begin to count down until 0. Then I suppose a lot of people will die. Especially how I place them. Certain well-populated areas. I say you have about 6 to maybe 6 or 5 hours. It's good traffic. Disarm the bombs. I say about 15 to 20 minutes before the countdown finally activates. Just you get moving, you have a lot of people to save. It's your choice, Batman. Take me down and the clown over there and sacrifice probably hundreds of innocent civilians, or will you go disarm the bombs and save countless of innocent poor civilians of Gotham City? The ball's in your court, Cape Crusader. Joker fell to the ground laughing, holding his stomach. This kid, he's something else. I like him. He just pulled out one of my oldest moves. Great minds think alike, don't you agree, Batsy? Bruce completely ignored the Joker. This isn't over, not by a long shot. What do they call you, kid? Name's Deku. As Deku gave Batman a mocking bow. I'll remember it. We'll be seeing each other again. As Batman ran off and jumped into his Batmobile and drove off. As the Joker got up from the ground, I got to say, extremely impressed by your performance, Deku. They call me the Crime Prince of Crime. Joker or Mr. J, either will work with me, kid. I think I'll just stick with the Joker. Well, I do apologize, Joker. Would love to sit here and talk shop with you and all, but I got places to be, people to kill. As a black portal opened up behind Izuku. Don't worry, I'll come visit again. After all, I've taken a liking to Gotham City. It has a certain amount of charm to it. Until we meet again, Joker. As Izuku found himself back into the bar back in Japan, with his mother waiting right behind him. Where we're going to stop our episode off. Hope you guys have a good night and day. Judge my time zones, and I'll catch you in the next video.